Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Robert Sports Show, from the independent scene to the main event of WrestleMania. Alright, New Japan Pro Wrestling, CMLL, AEW, Ring of Honor, Stardom present Wrestle Dynasty. This actually might have been better than Wrestle Kingdom. Top to bottom, 12 really solid, fantastic matches. Some of them just beyond crazy. For the weekend, 15-7 between both shows, 7-3 at Wrestle Kingdom, 8-4 at Wrestle Dynasty. These were my picks from the preview for what actually happened. 68%. So for me at least, in my mind, 68% picking on wrestling that is scripted and you don't know the script. It's not too bad. Alright, so the first match we had was on the International Women's Final Four Cup. It was on the pre-show. So representing AEW, we had Willow Nightingale. Representing CMLL, we had Persephone. Representing Ring of Honor, we had Athena. Representing Stardom, we had Momo Wannabe. Persephone, the first time I ever seen her wrestle. Oh my goodness. She had Momo Wannabe in a reverse kind of style pile driver. And she kind of had her on her back, in the pile driver position. And Athena comes by and just clotheslines her almost into a destroyer. Persephone takes flight off the top rope, lands on all four women. Now, Momo has Thekla with her. Had her wooden board she carries, and she tried to use it. The referee saw her. She threw it out of the ring, but she was able to use it later on. And she used it on Athena and pinned the Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena. Momo Wannabe did. This is Athena's first time being pinned in like 2 years. So I have a feeling this might lead to Momo Wannabe challenging Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's title. But what a hell of a good match. 11 minutes and 13 seconds to just women everywhere. It was absolutely amazing. Persephone, I want to see more of her, definitely. When she did that, again, it was a reverse pile driver. She got clotheslined by Athena, and it turned into a destroyer-looking thing. I give it 3 3/4 stars. With Momo Wannabe getting the victory there. The second match on the pre-show was the Ring of Honor World Tag Titles. We had the Sons of Texas, Dustin, Rhodes, and Sammy Guevara teaming up against House of Torture, Show, and Kanemaru. The announcers actually talked a lot about Dustin Rhodes when he tagged with his dad, Dusty, like 35 years ago, and grew up in the business with his dad, and his dad teaching him things, and talked about him teaming with Sammy, and how Sammy, being a new dad who's trying to do things different now than he did before, he needs that father figure like Dustin, and Dustin's kind of taking him under his wing. The Sons of Texas, they kind of brought all this together. I'm like, that's actually a pretty cool story. But yeah, these guys went out there against House of Torture and tortured him. Guevara did a couple big backflips over the top rope onto Kanemaru on the floor. Show took off the turnbuckle, and after he did this, Sammy Guevara gets pushed chest first into it. We all know that Yoshinobu Kanemaru uses the whiskey, takes a shot, spits it in the face of people. He spits it in the face of Dustin, wasn't able to get the pin out of it. Dustin hits the destroyer on Show, and then Dustin grabbed the whiskey, took a swig of it, shot it in Kanemaru's face, and then Dustin was able to pin Kanemaru to retain the Ring of Honor tag titles. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was a good pre-show style match. First match on the card was the Lucha Gauntlet match. We did not know the participants. We knew it was CMLL versus New Japan. That's all we knew. When the show started, we find out it's Taiji, Ishimori, El Desperado, Hechicero, Koji, Fujita, Mascara, Dorada, and Master Wato, and Soberano Jr. and Titan. Now, Soberano Jr. comes out and does a Fosbury flop over the top rope onto Helenico. Everyone just is on the floor. Then they came out in like different intervals, about every minute. I think it was kind of like the casino gauntlets that AEW does. Everybody's in the ring except for the final participant. Everyone, when El Desperado's music hits, the current and new Junior Heavyweight Champion, New Japan Pro Wrestling, everyone gets in the ring and waits for El Desperado. They literally all take turns going after him. Master Wato does a big dive to the outside. Mascara Dorado does backflip to the outside, laying it on people. Yeah, and yet everybody basically, they targeted El Desperado. And then when somebody went for a pin, they started going after each other. And then you have Taiji Ishimori targeting El Desperado, where everybody else is fighting on the outside and doing all these big spots on the outside. Then you get Taiji Ishimori pinning El Desperado to win the Lucha Gauntlet match. Now, logic says you pin the Junior Heavyweight Champion, you should get a Junior Heavyweight Championship match. But Taiji Ishimori, the Bone Soldier, getting the victory there, I give it 4-star. So hopefully down the road we get the El Desperado versus Taiji Ishimori. And then next up, we had an exhibition match. We had Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Shibata. Now, they were actually, Rocky Romero was on commentary, and he was talking a lot about this. I guess when Shibata had that brain injury, and the reason he went to AEW was he could not get cleared by New Japan Pro Wrestling doctors. So that's why he's been wrestling at AEW. And he's never been cleared to wrestle. That's why this was an exhibition grappling match. Somehow he got cleared enough for that, which he's done one of these other before, about a year and a half ago. His first kind of match back. But like Rocky said, he's actually having this exhibition with the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Things can get taken care of when you know the right people. So it's kind of cool to know that background, why Shibata left New Japan, because he wasn't getting cleared. Just like we've seen a lot of wrestlers leave WWE because they couldn't get medically cleared, and yet they could in other places. So hopefully eventually he can get cleared and have that full-out match. I know Tanahashi is planning to retire 1 year, January 4th, 2026. Could we have Tanahashi versus Shibata at that Wrestle Kingdom next year? Or Tanahashi versus Okada? How would that be a retirement match for Tanahashi against Okada's old rival? Regardless, it was a no contest. It was only a 5-minute time limit, so it was a kind of a no contest time limit draw. I give it 3 stars. It was fun watching these two kind of grapple and do their thing. Next up, we had the New Japan Strong Women's title and the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's title on the line. The Strong Women's Champion, Mercedes Moné, and then the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Champion, Mina Shirakawa. Shirakawa actually just won this not long ago on Rev Pro, which they are off until February. So I actually might end up doing a best of 2024 of Rev Pro for the months out. But she's only held the title for 132 days. Now, I thought this match was going to go one way, and it didn't. Shirakawa did a dragon screw off the top rope on Monet. A couple big dives for both the ladies. Super DDT off the top rope by Shirakawa. They fought to the outside. I mean, these two of the best women wrestlers in professional wrestling today. So yeah, I mean, the fact that Mercedes Moné beat Shirakawa, which kind of shocked me, to become the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Champion. Very amazing to see that they pulled the trigger on that, so have her wrestle some stuff in Rev Pro. So yeah, I kind of excited to see where that goes, because some of the women over there in Red Pro. She'll probably get a rematch against Shirakawa. And then the previous champion was Dana Luna, and then before that was Alex Windsor, and then before that was Giselle Shaw. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that Red Pro shows, and where that all the titles and stuff, when that title goes, when they resume February 2nd, I believe. So can't wait to see that. Next up, we had David Finlay taking on Brody King. These one-on-ones, the David Finlay, Brody King, Shota Umino, and Claudio Castagnoli, Kenny Omega gave Kid. To me, there was no big surprises there when it came to when I did my picks on the preview. The women's title shocked me. I was thinking Shirakawa would retain, because I actually talked about having her go against Mona Wannabe, figuring that would be the plan. The Gauntlet, I figured a CMLL person would win. We got New Japan winning, so those are the ones that I've really kind of like, whoa, shocked me on. But David Finlay, Brody King, wasn't too shocked on what the outcome was going to be on this. They fought on the outside a lot. Brody King, big and powerful, used his power to slam David Finlay into the barriers multiple times. Finlay was actually able to power bomb Brody King into a pin, which kind of, the pin then shocked me. The way he was able to pick up Brody King and slam him. That's where I got shocked. The power of David Finlay was kind of overwhelming there. Nice little match, 3.5-star match there. David Finlay getting the victory. Next up, Shota Umino taking on Claudio Castagnoli. Something that Rocky Romero pointed out. Before the Death Riders were the Death Riders, when Jon Moxley was IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and had the BCC, he gave Shota Umino a jacket that said Death Rider on it, and kind of took him under his wing. Well, he has since kind of turned on him. Umino actually wanted a match against Moxley. Moxley said, no, I'm too busy. Send Claudio. Well, Claudio comes out when Umino is doing his entrance. Now, mind you, Umino had a 43-minute match with Zack Sabre Jr. on Wrestle Kingdom the day before, less than 24 hours before. And there's an old adage, you don't have to go over to get over. I thought Umino got over in that match. So coming into this match, I had personally had a different opinion about Shota Umino. I always thought he was great. But what he did against Zack Sabre Jr., even in a loss, when I knew this match was coming up, it's like, oh, it's like, oh, you kind of perk up a little bit, like, huh, this could be pretty good. Claudio thought so too, so Claudio attacked Shota Umino before the bell. They continue the fight on the outside. In the barriers, Shota ends up getting in the ring, goes over the top rope, gets caught by Claudio. Claudio again slings him into the barriers. Umino does a tornado DDT. Claudio gets in the ropes. Shota kind of did this with Zack Sabre Jr. They fight in the ropes, and they go over the ropes, and he kind of almost spikes him onto the ring apron, and was able to get him on the floor then, and they fought a little bit. They get back in the ring. Claudio's doing his uppercuts. Claudio went to do his pop-up. He pushes him up and does the uppercut. He completely whiffed on it. I mean, completely whiffed on the pop-up uppercut. Hits the Ricola bomb. Didn't get a lot on it. Shota ended up kicking out. Shota ends up getting the victory right after that, beating Claudio Castagnoli. 14.5-minute match. I give it 3.5 star. I think Shota Umino having the match against Sabre Jr., having the match against Claudio, those might be two of his best matches in New Japan. I think 2025 is going to show the next generation of star here in New Japan. The Ren Naritas, the Shota Uminos. They're going to take that next step forward and kind of be the future of, and Gabe Kidd, and put that on that list too. We'll get more to that in a few minutes. But yeah, these are the guys that are going to take New Japan into the next decade. And it's kind of cool to see them, how they've grown, what they were, and where they're going to go. Because if you think about it, not long ago, less than 10 years ago, Okada was, he's still in his prime, but he was a young guy. You had Jay White, you had Will Ospreay, Tanahashi was still young, a lot younger than he is now. Naito was a lot younger. So those guys are getting older. The Ospreys, the Jay Whites, Omega all left. You kind of got to rebuild that, and I think Umino is going to be a part of that rebuild. Next up, we had two titles on the line. We had the AEW International title and the Never Openweight title, which both held by Konosuke Takeshita, taking on Tomohiro Ishii. 13.5-minute brawl. Chops. Just two fighters going at it. Two of probably the hardest hitting guys on the show. And we get a fantastic match. Konosuke Takeshita retaining both titles. 4.5 star, mind you. I mean, Tomohiro Ishii, he is a mighty powerful guy, and he is uber talented, just like Takeshita is. What's cool about Konosuke Takeshita, he wrestles in DDT, he wrestles in AEW, he's done some stuff in Ring of Honor. Oh yeah, he does DDT too. And that's in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So he's all over the place, defending titles for both companies. I know he defends the Never Openweight title at Battle in the Valley against Kushida. That could be hell fun too. Can't wait to see that show. So 4.5 star with Takeshita retaining both titles. He won that Never Openweight title at Wrestle Kingdom. Next up, we have the IWGP tag titles on the line in a triple threat match. Titles were vacated for the injury of Hanare. So we had United Empire represented by Great-O-Khan and Jeff Cobb. We had the World Tag League winners, Los Ingobernables de Japón, Hiromu Takahashi and Tatsuya Naito. Hiromu, he is the first junior heavyweight to win a heavyweight tag tournament or any type of title for them. And then we had the return of the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Obviously having the stroke they have as EVPs of AEW and the stroke they have with Tanahashi, they were able to put themselves in this match. The Young Bucks always deliver big dives to the outside, but the power of Okan and Cobb was second to none. They were suplexing everyone, and they screamed at one point, "Suplex Pate!" Of course, the Young Bucks kind of took offense to that because it's Super Kick Pate, and they started super kicking everyone. Nick did this Nick was standing on the outside of the ropes, and Matthew had Hiromu on the inside. Nick does a backflip moonsault onto Cobb, jumps back up, and does the Meltzer driver with Matthew on Hiromu to get the 1-2-3 to get the win. It was like, Hiromu's on the outside, the Meltzer driver was on Khan. Does the Meltzer driver on Khan after doing a backflip moonsault, jumps back up, hits the Meltzer driver on Khan, 1-2-3. Once again, the Young Bucks are the IWGP World Tag Team Champions for the, I believe, fourth time. Let's see, how many times have they held those titles? Second time. Well, that's more than that. For the second time. And like they said, we're not coming back to Japan. So I have a feeling they're going to be defended on AWTV. They're going to be defended at Battle in the Valley here in the United States. Now, they did announce that at Riot City, at the show in Chicago in April, that will be Hiroshi Tanahashi's last U.S. match. Windy City Riot. They're April 11th, the week before Mania. So that will be Tanahashi's last U.S. appearance. So that's kind of cool that he's going to have that. So yeah, I mean the Bucks. Yeah, they don't want to go to Japan. Let's see, Battle in the Valley is in California, in San Jose. They'll defend the titles there. They can defend it Chicago on April 11th. The Resurgence is May 9th. Forbidden Door in London, which I could see them doing something big there for that. But yes, I mean, they'll be able to defend them, but not just on Japanese soil, which is fine, whatever. I actually thought LIJ was going to win that. Next up, we have the IWGP Global Heavyweight Title Line champion Yoshinobu Tuzu taking on Jack Perry. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff online about this show in general. Yoda did a kind of a Spanish fly, and then toward the end of the match, he did a big spear to take out to Perry and get the pin. I ended up giving this match 3 1/4. There was a lot of stuff online about this show that I just read a couple comments, and it was kind of negatory toward Tony Khan and Tony Khan booking the show. I'm sorry. 8-4 my preview picks to the actual show, and a lot of AEW talent lost. So let's see. Willow, Nightingale, Athena, they lost. The Ring of Honor tag titles, we knew they weren't changing, so they won. Mercedes Moné won, okay. But you know what? Red Pro had to approve that because it's their title. Brody King lost. Claudio Castagnoli lost. Yeah, the Bucks won. Obviously, New Japan has to approve that. Same way, Konosuke Takeshita winning. Jack Perry lost. So, AEW lost a lot. Yeah, they won a couple titles. But come on. When these companies like AEW, Red Pro, CMLL, New Japan, Stardom, which Stardom is owned by New Japan now, when they work together, they all have to agree. And I see a lot of people going on, what does New Japan get out of working with AEW? Well, they got Kenny Omega on this card. They get Jack Perry on this card. They get Claudio, Brody King, Ricochet. They get their titles on AEW. They get their people on AEW. There's a lot of people out there that doesn't know that New Japan exists or anything about it, and then they see some of the guys on AEW. Oh, maybe I'll check it out. These shows were available on Thriller TV, yes, for like $40 for both. As part of the NJPW World, part of your New Japan subscription. So many people signed up for New Japan World because of these two shows, knowing there's so much AEW talent on it. Oh yeah, the return of Kenny Omega after 13 months of nearly dying. So yeah, they get a lot out of it. They wouldn't do it otherwise. And you know what? Tony Khan gets a lot out of it because he gets great matches, part of his catalog. So it's a win-win for all the companies involved. Red Pro gets how much of this? Because when that Red Pro title shows up on AEW television with Mercedes Moné, and they're talking about this match and talking about the Red Pro Undisputed British Women's Championship, that's just Red Pro. When Mercedes Moné shows up on a Red Pro show, that's stuff for Red Pro, helps Red Pro, which also helps the wrestling business. A couple of years ago, when Punk was in AEW, he was called out by Will Ospreay on a Red Pro show. Unfortunately, Red Pro is not big enough for people to really knew what was going on. Should have done a video about it, and I didn't. So yeah, no, it helps everyone involved. I just hate people just happen to talk negative about AEW because they don't watch it or don't like it. That's fine. Watch what you like. Don't watch what you don't like. But don't negatively talk about and hate on something that you don't like because you don't like it. Let people enjoy it for what it is. Next up, we had the return of Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd. Oh my God. Match of the year. Was a little bit much at times. I watched death matches. Kidd threw Omega into the barriers. They started fighting on the outside. When you're doing dragon suplexes on the floor, Omega threw Kidd over a barrier, through a table. You have just these two guys beating the tar out of one another with chairs. Gabe Kidd is just bloody. I mean, it was a legit blood feud. 31 minutes and 55 seconds and beating the tar out of one another. Tables involved, barriers involved, chairs involved. No time limit match. The only thing it seemed like, in my mind, the only goal in this match was for Kenny Omega to get Gabe Kidd over. And by God, he did. This is one of those matches where, like I said earlier with Shota Umino, you don't necessarily have to get over to go over. Kenny Omega was getting booed at Tokyo Dome. Kenny Omega was beloved in New Japan. Gabe Kidd was getting the love on this show. Kenny Omega came off heel as hell. Hey, I'm fine with that. But the fact that Gabe Kidd, part of War Dogs or Clark Collins and Drella Maloney, was able to go out there and put on a 4 3/4 star match, there are people now that know who Gabe Kidd is that didn't know who he was when this match started. There are people out there that didn't know how good Gabe Kidd was until now. Again, I've seen 5-star ratings on this match. I wasn't quite there because there was a lot of blood, a lot of unnecessary stuff going on, that there's not a history enough with these two to have that, in my mind. Unless I missed something. There's history, yes, but there's not just that blood feud kind of history stuff. So, yeah, it was a great match. Yeah, I give it 4 3/4. Yeah, right now it is match of the year. But there's really no buts. It just wasn't quite 5-star to me. But yeah, it was amazing. Kenny Omega getting the victory there. I think Gabe Kidd went over. The future of New Japan Pro Wrestling is bright as hell, and Gabe Kidd's going to be part of that. I watched Gabe Kidd, and this is one thing I like about watching all the different wrestling I watch, all the indies I get to watch. I am lucky as hell that I have the ability to watch wrestling when I'm working. 2018, I watched Gabe Kidd in a company called Defiant Wrestling. I used to sign up for Defiant Wrestling was the name of it. It went defunct when did this place go defunct? When did it go out of business? 2019. It was only in business 2016 through 2019. I was able to see guys like a Gabe Kidd. And let's see who else was on some of those cards. Nathan Cruz is another big name. Man like DeReese back in 2019. Carlos Romo. Joe Hendry. His early days. So El Phantasmo. That's where I really kind of fell in love with him. So I got to see these guys and follow them. And now to see somebody like a Gabe Kidd in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he literally, like a lot of people talk about other sports people stepping back. He literally went to the New Japan Pro Wrestling LA dojo and unlearned everything he already learned and relearned it all to be in New Japan. And here he is at the pinnacle of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I would not be surprised if they didn't have a singles title on this kid before the end of the year. Main event. Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Ricochet. They talked a lot about Zack Sabre not watching videos of himself, and they talked about video watching and stuff. How do you prepare for this? And they talk about Sabre watching videos, just watch his matches versus Will Ospreay, and there you go, because that's kind of what Ricochet is. It's kind of like Will Ospreay and vice versa. There's nobody like Zack Sabre Jr. He is probably the most technical wrestler there is, one of the best mat wrestlers in the business today. Ricochet starts it off hot, does his flip over the top rope, back-to-back dragon suplexes by Sabre. Ricochet ends up, this was a kind of a weird, they're on the apron, he ends up doing a kind of a suplex on the apron. They fall to the floor. Ricochet does not let go, does another dragon suplex on the floor. It's like, boom, rolling suplex there. It was almost like 3 Amigos almost, but in the ring and then on the outside. But these two went at it, and just the technical prowess of Sabre Jr. just able to tie people up in knots almost. Ricochet trying to take it to the air, take it to the high flying, what he knows. Again, two completely different styles. Styles make fights, and that's what this was. Great match. 30 minutes for these two. 4 1/4 star with Zack Sabre Jr. retaining the IWGP World Heavyweight title. I don't understand why anyone thought Ricochet was going to win this title. New Japan Pro Wrestling doesn't just flip their titles like pieces of candy like some companies do. Zack Sabre retained last night. I didn't think there's no chance in hell he was losing tonight. I think the person that takes his title off of Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be a Shota Umino, a Gabe Kidd, Ren Narita, one of those former Young Lions who are coming into their own. Those are the only ones in my mind that would take the title off of him. So 2 great days at the Tokyo Dome. Tomorrow is New Year's Dash. So 3 days in a row of New Japan Pro Wrestling. The New Year's Dash isn't just kind of that big of a show. It's more of a tag show, a lot of tag matches, and a lot of surprises. So you never know the card till that actually happens. So, but yeah, getting up at 2 a.m. on January 4th. And then the show started at 9 p.m. on January 4th. I didn't watch it live because of that reason, because I was a little tired. But yeah, so 68% match picks on the previews to the actual shows over the last 2 days. Fun times, 2 great shows. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show from the independent scene to the main event of WrestleMania. Don't just have a great day, have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader. Sports channel content.